Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm very excited to do another little deep dive into a book review. So today we're going to be talking about Paradise Club by Tim Meyer. So if you guys watch my channel, you will have seen that I unboxed this as part of my January 2021 Nightworms package. This was an advanced, it was not an advanced reader's copy, but we did get this early before it was released. This came out officially on February 5th of 2021. So to start off with, I didn't really know much, if anything at all, about Tim Meyer. I think the only time I'd ever heard about him before is Nightworms had sent me a book that he wrote in collaboration with Chad Lutsky called Wormwood, if I remember correctly, which I haven't read yet. I will hopefully be reading it later this year, but that's what I got on this. So this book is about 260 pages, I believe, like 263, yeah, 263 pages. I really didn't know much of anything about this book when I got it, so I pretty much went in blind. Yeah, so over the course of 2 days I had finished it. I finished this whole thing in 2 sittings pretty much. I devoured this. This, I will tell you right up front, this is a 4-star read for me. It's a book I went into completely blind, and up until about 2/3 of the way through, I really thought this was going to be a 5-star read for me. So does the ending kind of peter off? Sort of. There's a couple of things in here that I don't really care for towards the end, but nothing that made me not love this book. So this is a weird book. I'm going to read the back of the book for y'all real quick. So it says, "Welcome to Paradise. Sandy beaches, crystalline waters, an all-inclusive resort with virtually everything you can think of. Truly idyllic paradise. An event is taking place at Paradise Club that wasn't on the brochure, a dangerous game putting the hotel's guests against a gang of bloodthirsty maniacs. Elliot Harper, family man and FBI agent, is about to find out how fast heaven can become hell when every single vacationer is forced to become a ruthless killer in order to survive. A team of killers have been unleashed and they won't stop until every single guest is dead. Let the mayhem begin." So yes, the premise is pretty much this guy named Elliot. He's an FBI agent who just escaped a really tough case. His wife wins this all-inclusive free vacation to this remote island off the coast of Florida in international waters. They have no idea where this location is, but he gets to bring his whole family, so him, his wife, their teenage daughter, and their teenage son, and they get to go on this week-long vacation. Seems really perfect, except there's one catch. There are no cell phones or electronic devices that can be used to contact other people allowed on the island. You have to turn those in when you get there, which is a really cool premise and is kind of like, ding, 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 something weird's going on. But it was written really, really well into the book. I really like how this book introduces the concept presented before it, and then things get really, really weird. But things get weird in a really, really good way. Yeah, weird is definitely the word I'm going to capitalize on here, because this book is really a strange amalgamation of Cabin in the Woods, The Purge, the TV show Survivor, and that whole Fire Festival debacle. It's very strange, but in like the best way. And I think what makes Tim Meyer such a good writer in this book is he's able to pull all of these weird horror tropes together and make it feel very, very believable and tangible, and I just buy into it. Like, there's definitely a moment where I'm like, wow, could you throw more horror cliches into this novel? And the answer is yes, yes you can, and I'm not going to be upset with it. Like, it's just written in a way that doesn't feel forced. It feels very natural. The story, being as absurd as it is, really caters to what's going on and how people are reacting to it, and I just found it very, very well put together. There's also a lot of gore. It's extremely fast-paced. You are on the edge of your seat the entire time you're reading this novel. You need to figure out what's going on. You need to figure out who can be trusted, who can't be trusted, where everyone's going, how everyone knows each other. Like, you really feel caught up in the whirlwind that is this story. This could be a minor spoiler. I will say there are elements of cosmic horror thrown into this novel. I will not go into what it is. As anybody who's been on my channel before probably knows, I don't like cosmic horror. It's definitely the type of horror that I gravitate away towards the most. I say that with a little Cthulhu behind me, but I just think that there's a way to do cosmic horror and make it work and a way to do cosmic horror and make it not work. In this particular story, I'd say I'm kind of on the fence. The cosmic horror didn't bother me the way it does in, say, like Stephen King's Revival. I can't stand the way cosmic horror is utilized in that novel. But again, I don't like reading about cosmic horror, and when I have to read about cosmic horror, it automatically takes the book down a notch for me. I think what really brought this book together, though, was the characters. The way the book is told, each chapter you get insight on a different character's perspective. Everything is told through the third person, but it's pretty much framed through what that one character of that chapter is going through. So you do get Elliot and his whole family. You do get a couple other vacationers, including this one character, Anne, who has an eye patch and is on the island alone. These three kind of goofy college kids who have all gone on the vacation together. And you just get to see through all of their eyes kind of what's going on. And then, of course, you also get to see through the eyes of a bunch of the resort staff, which I think is really cool because a lot of the people working at the staff have different perspectives on everything that is happening as well. And in those small chapters, in those small glimpses into their perspectives and what's going on with them, you get so much character development. And for me, I adore character development in a novel, and I think the way that Tim Meyer handles each character and the situation that he presents from their perspective really pushes them forward as well as pushes the plot forward. I would say for me, my favorite character was Zach, who is Elliot's son. He, I think, is 14 years old. Well, first off, he's written like a very believable 14-year-old. I think a lot of the stuff that he does makes perfect sense in the situations that he is put in, how he responds, how he reacts, who he chooses to trust, who he chooses to interact with. And his chapters for me gave me also the most insight on other characters around him, including his family and the people that he interacts primarily with. I thought he was extremely well done. I know it's difficult to write teenagers. I thought he was a very believable 14-year-old boy. Can't say quite the same for his sister, who I believe is a 17-year-old girl in this novel. She's fine. It's not that Tim Meyer couldn't write a believable 17-year-old girl, but I feel like she kind of fell more into cliches of 17-year-old girls, whereas Zach did feel like a very real, tangible person when he was written. And then next we had my other favorite character, who was named Brian. He is one of the college kids who shows up on the island. He shows up with his two best friends, and he has a really, really crazy storyline. His storyline to me was definitely the most interesting. But it also his storyline for me also kind of contributed to where my 5-star read became a 4-star read, because I'm not entirely satisfied with its conclusion. His storyline also it brought towards the front of the novel a lot of plot holes and inconsistencies in the novels that I found. Like, there's a moment in the book where he meets a character, but he's actually already met that character before, and they kind of write their interaction in the middle of the book as if they hadn't met at the beginning of the book. And I found that very, very strange, because it was a pretty drawn out chapter when he met this character the first time, and I thought maybe it was that chapter had been written after this chapter. I'm not sure, but it was a strange inconsistency. And then his backstory, I felt, got a little muddied as well, because when we first meet him, we are presented with, oh, like, this is his backstory, and then at the end, his backstory has been slightly altered, and the conclusion of his character arc in this story is very dependent on that alteration. And so I kind of felt that his character wasn't fine-tuned enough or edited enough from my perspective. Even though he was my favorite character to watch, I did feel that it was a little bit of a letdown, that he was kind of also cluttered with the most plot holes, and because of that, I didn't really care for how the end of his story was wrapped up. Those really were my only two complaints about this novel. And then, of course, like, the addition of cosmic horror, but like, whatever, that's just a me thing. If you like cosmic horror, you will really, really like this book. It's very fun. It's very unique. Like, it does pull from a lot of very well-known staples in the horror genres, or I guess in horror media. But it does feel very original when it's all thrown together the way it is. It's definitely not a ripoff of Cabin in the Woods, but you can tell it was very heavily influenced by Cabin in the Woods. It is not a ripoff of The Purge, but you can tell that it was very heavily influenced by The Purge. And I do really like seeing how he took these bits and pieces of these new wave horrorcore movies and concepts and was able to translate them into a very readable, very fun, fast-paced novel. And then there's, I call this the George R.R. Martin effect. I really like that Meyer isn't afraid to kill main characters. I like that he presents a story where you know that no one is safe and you can't figure out who has plot armor. I think that's really, really important when deaths come out of nowhere. You feel like your favorite character is person A and all of a sudden person A is no longer even a part of the story. I think his ability to kill off these major characters throughout the entire novel really highlights, I guess, like the gore and the horror of the plot presented in itself. I won't say who makes it or who doesn't make it, but I did find it very refreshing to read a book where the whole time I was on the edge of my seat being like, I don't know who's gonna make it. I don't know if anybody's gonna make it. And he didn't give anybody like a cheap death that you didn't really see coming, that didn't make sense to the story. Again, this is only a 263-page book, but he put so much care and thought into these characters, into how they acted, into what brought them to where they end up in the story, that I wasn't dissatisfied with losing a character, even if it did make me sad that that character was no longer in the story. Again, the ending to me was a little wonky. It was also probably the most forgettable part of the whole novel. I feel like, I don't want to say that he didn't know how to end the novel, but I will say that I didn't feel completely satisfied with the very, very end of the novel. I would have liked a little bit more, kind of tapered off, and I'd been so caught up in the action leading up to where it concludes that to me it was just kind of like, I feel like there could be, or there should be, a little bit more for me to grasp onto. An extra 10, 15 pages I think would have been really, really cool, an epilogue even, but now I'm just being like really, really nitpicky. Anyway, this was a really fun surprise for me. Again, I didn't know anything about this author. I didn't really know anything about this book other than the fact that it had been hyped up by Nightworms. It deserves the hype that it got from Nightworms. This was quite a fun trip. And it's a really fun cover. Again, I'm usually hesitant when I read authors I had never heard of before, or haven't really like known anything about their work, or there's not a lot of hype on like the larger, I guess, horror book community. But I did find that this one was a very pleasant surprise. I'm really, really thrilled with it, and I highly, highly recommend it. It's definitely fun. I won't say that there's anything deep or life-changing in this book, but it is an absolute ride to get through. Anyway, thank you guys as always for watching. I have a whole stack of books that I'm planning on getting through in the next month or so to do a bunch of book reviews. Many are recent releases. At least 2 will have been from 2021, and be on the lookout for those. Again, I post every Monday and Thursday, and if you like my videos, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. And if you have any books that are coming out soon or just came out that you want me to read and review, drop them in the comments. I love to get book suggestions, and hopefully I can get around to them. All right, thank you guys so much. See you guys in the next one.